Hello, and welcome to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California, where we have just landed the most sophisticated and most capable rover yet on the surface of Mars, the Perseverance rover. I'm Jari Cook of JPL's Digital News and Media Office, and I'll be your host today as we gather reactions from our key players from the landing and also give a glimpse of what's to come. So because of the coronavirus pandemic, everything's going to look a little different today. We have our masks on and the layout is a little different, but I want to introduce our speakers to you. So standing on the floor of Von Karman Auditorium, we have Steve Jurasik, NASA's acting administrator. We also have Mike Watkins, the director of JPL. And then we also have John McNamee, Perseverance's project manager. Up on the stage, we have Thomas Zurbuchen, NASA's Associate Administrator for the Science Mission Directorate. We have Lori Glaze, NASA's Planetary Science Director. We have Matt Wallace, the Perseverance Deputy Project Manager. And Al Chen, Entry, Descent, and Landing Lead. Ken Farley, the Perseverance Project Scientist. And then coming from our surface operations area, we have Jennifer Trosper, Deputy Project Manager. And over here, we have a special group on our video conference. We have a group of the Perseverance team members. All right, so we are going to be taking questions during this briefing. So if you're a member of the media and you're on our phone lines, press *1, and you'll be put into the queue. And if you're on social media, use the hashtag #CountdownToMars. But before I turn over the podium, I just wanted to take 1 minute to recognize what a thrilling day today has been. We now have the most ambitious rover yet on the surface of Mars. Congratulations.
We're getting some echoes.
All right, I'm going to turn the podium over to Steve Jurasik.
Wow, I mean, just an amazing, incredible day. I could not be more proud of the team and what they've accomplished under challenging circumstances. I also have to tell you that about an hour after landing, I got a phone call from the President of the United States, and his first words were, "Congratulations, man." And I knew it was him. I wasn't getting punked. Only the president could say, "Congratulations, man." He talked about how proud he was of what we'd accomplished, and he wanted me to send his regards to Percy, and he wanted to congratulate the team. He wanted me to congratulate the team for him. He does want to congratulate the team personally, and I told him we will make that happen. And so, looking forward to having the President of the United States congratulate the team this week. 9 successful landings on Mars. The only nation that's been able to do that. Just incredible. Thousands of people working on this to make this happen at the Jet Propulsion Lab, at NASA centers, with our industry partners and with our international partners. I want to call out one of our other government agency partners. The Department of Energy develops the radioisotopic thermal generators for us, the RTDs, that powered Curiosity and are powering Perseverance. And it's a great partnership, so thank you to our DOE colleagues. This mission is amazing on its own. Science, technology, and caching samples to bring back to Earth. But it's also part of our bigger exploration plans, right? Which involve really understanding Mars and the evolution of Mars and whether there was life, ancient life, but also preparing for eventual human missions to Mars. And so this is one step along the way of our journey to accomplish that goal. And it's a major step, and we've embarked on that. We've taken the first steps in embarking on that journey. Again, I'm amazed that everything went, pretty much according to plan. And when I heard the touchdown signal come back and saw the first image, I cannot tell you how overcome with emotion I was and happy I was. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I think I'm going to get sleep really well tonight. So again, just an amazing day. With that, I would like to turn it over to my colleague and friend, Dr. Zabukin.
Well, thanks so much, Steve. And I want to share an event with you that usually happens when I'm by myself. And what you should know is that every time we do a launch or we do a landing, we get two plans. One plan is the one we want to do, and then there's that second plan, which is right here. That's the contingency plan. Here's for the contingency plan. Yeah. All right. Just about 1.5 hours, a little bit more, history happened right here. And I want to play a video that the team put together. Before I do so, I want to just warn you, you may or may not, in the last row, see some bent COVID protocols. You should just know that all of us who are involved back there were doubly masked and normally had all the distance in the world, but you know, I will tell you later about my emotions there, but I had to hug some people. Sorry for that, Steve and everybody, but roll the video, please. Let's lift back that moment we had. Go ahead.
We are starting the straighten up and fly right maneuver in preparation for parachute deploy. Yes. The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration. Skycrane maneuver has started. About 20 meters off the surface.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the sands of past life.
Looks like we're getting the first image.
What an amazing moment. I have to tell you, after I was kind of reacting the first 5 seconds or so, I was overcome with emotions, frankly, in the back there, and I was tearing up. And then, frankly, what I thought about is a statement that was made 20 minutes or so before the moments you just saw, when one of the leaders said, this is the first time for months that we're all in the same room. And I want to thank you for being here and being part of the team. Of course, many individuals on the monitor here and otherwise were not in that room. And I just wanted to tell you how proud and so moved I was by that team achieving that amazing success. I was reminded of a statement of a famous coach who once was asked, what are the 3 most important things that create success in the game? And it turns out the same is true for NASA. And here are the following 3 in the order of priority: the team, and the team. And I just really want to thank the team for that. Thanks so much. Of course, for me, this is not an end, but a beginning. Now the amazing science starts, and I'm so looking forward to the science that's come there. Every yard on the surface of Mars is a yard of Mars sample return to go collect these precious samples and bring them back to Earth. And of course, you should know that one of the first texts I got from the international community was from my friend David Parker, my colleague over in ESA, who sent his congratulations. I just want to tell him back how excited we are to continue to work with them on this amazing joint mission, this international history-making mission that we're now endeavoring, of course, with Perseverance right there. But as we're already starting to develop some of the team members moving over towards Mars sample return, and many concrete steps are also happening, of course, towards another horizon goal, which is human exploration of Mars as well. I always think of it as like there's a whole bucket of miracles you need to achieve to do that, and we're taking some miracles off the table, both today, but also as we go forward with Mars sample return. So the future of Mars exploration is just so broad and exciting, and it involves many other nations as well. And leaders, many of them are still in school, or even in kindergarten or younger. And those leaders we're going to need as we do this achieve those amazing goals. I want to think of the international partners of Mars 2020 Perseverance. And we had something like 35 vendors from 11 nations that, of course, added up to the nearly 1,000 within the United States. 11 nations that included a lot of them. And I've been in some of these nations, and I know where these pieces are coming from and how proud those nations are. Of course, over and above that, we have 3 partners that have contributed instruments: France, Spain, and Norway. And I had texts from our French colleagues, for example, where the Prime Minister was right there with the team and celebrating with them. I'm just so glad for the support in each one of those countries they're receiving from their governments. And we look forward, but each of our contributions, the contributions internationally and the ones by the team here, will provide information and tell us about Mars, and also the future collaboration that will be enabled by the amazing historic feat today. Mars is always hard. We don't take this for granted. Landing on Mars is one of the toughest things, even though the team, is making it look easy, I have to tell you. I mean, it's just incredible to me. I've baffled, I told Steve this morning, I had to get up in the night twice to replace a sweated through wet t-shirt with a new one. I was telling myself I'm pretty calm. Apparently my body did not say so. But this next night, I'm sure I only need one of them as we go forward. And that's in no small way because of my next friend I'm going to introduce to you, which is, of course, Mike Watkins, who's the JPL director. Take it away, Mike.
Thank you, Thomas. I'd like to welcome everyone virtually to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory here. This room, many of our journalist colleagues have been in this room for a landing day where we've actually celebrated all of the Mars landings ever accomplished by humankind here in this room. And I miss the fact that you're not all here with us today. We usually have the lab buzzing with thousands of folks. And because of COVID, we're doing this remotely. But I hope you still feel a part of this, and certainly feel free to engage us with questions and follow-up. On behalf of JPL, I have to say we have a fantastic project team, no question about it. And John McNamee and Matt Wallace will talk a lot more about that team. But I want to also notice the rest of JPL. It really took a lot of folks working together to make this mission successful. And of course, we're working on missions other than Mars Perseverance as well. And we had to keep those missions going. We had to keep Mars 2020 going. We had to use our CIO office to make sure we could all work in a virtual sense, work remotely. And of course, folks keeping everyone safe on the lab in terms of PPE and facility changes. And we sort of had to change the tires while we're going down the highway starting last year. And we are very proud of having been able to make 2020 a success. And now that Perseverance is on the surface, I hope you are sharing the magic that I do personally. These first few days on Mars, I always think in some sense are the most magical. All of the great panoramas and the color photos and great science and our sample acquisition and the helicopter flight, you will follow along with those and see them in the coming months. But there is something special about the first few days, because we have just landed a representative of the planet Earth on a place on Mars that no one has ever been to. No one has ever seen it except from orbital imagery from a few hundred miles up above Mars. And I believe that magical sense that we bring is a lot of the reason that JPL exists and NASA exists. And I and everyone at the lab is very proud to be part of that. And now to talk more about what we expect to do with this mission on the surface now that we are safely down, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Lori Glaze, the head of the Planetary Science Division at NASA headquarters. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mike. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, wow, right? There's just so much excitement and emotion here today. And I of course, have to extend my thanks as well to the entire team who really had to work under adverse conditions over the last year, but have worked hard for the 6 years prior to that as well, and probably even before that, leading up to the beginning of when the project got kicked off. I'd also like to make sure I give a little shout out and some thanks to my headquarters staff that support this as well. We all work together. It's all one big team. And I wanted to tell the folks here, the Mars 2020 team, that it was just such an honor to be here and be allowed to sit in the control room with you guys. Y'all are incredible. You're amazing. And I know it wasn't even the full team there, and the full breadth of that team. The capabilities are just astounding. And so I'm just so proud of everything you've accomplished. And thank you for letting me be a part of it here today. It is really, truly exciting. Now that we're on the ground, now the fun really starts. And I loved, you're going to hear from Ken in a little bit. We were talking to him right after landing, and the science team's already getting started. They're already working. Ken's in there looking at the pictures, the first two that we got down, and he's already, looking at them and trying to figure out, what we're going to do and where we are. So. Fantastic. I can't wait to get all the instruments turned on over the next several days and weeks and start collecting data. And in particular, over the next few days, as we're getting down all of the imaging and the microphone data that were taken during the descent, I think it's going to take us all along on that descent. We're all going to get to experience just exactly what that was like. This will be the first time we've ever had that opportunity to not just look at the data that came back and said, yes, the parachute deployed, and yes, the sky crane operated correctly. We're going to get to see it and live it and participate, every one of us, on that way down. It's going to be amazing. So really, really looking forward to that. I'd also like to, in my time here, give a shout out to the more than 1 million students that joined in for the Mars Student Challenge. And I want to thank you all for, can we all thank the students that participated? Fantastic. We're just so excited that so many young people around the country and around the world have gotten engaged with this mission. It's incredibly inspiring. And as Thomas said, it's your generation that's going to take us forward. It's your generation that's going to be analyzing these samples when they come back to Earth. And we're just so happy to have so much interaction with the students. And the Mars Challenge, the Student Challenge, is still up there, and folks can still sign up and still participate in that activity. So just continue to participate. So with that, I am going to pass things over to John. Thank you so much, John McNamee, who is our project manager, and congratulations, John. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lori. So I woke up this morning. Unlike Thomas and Steve, I slept like a baby, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Got a little exercise, had a little breakfast, landed on Mars. So all in all, pretty good day so far. And the reason I slept so well is I probably closer knowledge than Thomas and Steve and Lori of the quality of the team that was brought to bear on this very, very difficult endeavor. And I'm talking about the very much extended team. That doesn't just include JPL. We got tremendous support from NASA headquarters, from JPL management, the technical establishment that exists here at JPL in the technical divisions, but also in industry, the other NASA centers that were brought to bear on this project, our international partners, and a wealth of contractors that contributed greatly to the success of this mission. So we all celebrated together for sure. It was a very difficult task that we asked people to do. They delivered, they tested, and we landed. And now we've turned it over to the operations team. You'll hear from Jennifer Trosper here in a minute. And the science team, you'll hear from Ken Farley in a minute. And they have now they have a job to do. I mean, a real job to do now that we put this down on the surface. I know that the surface team and the science team were anxious for us to get there. And then as we started to get there, they go, oh my God, they're actually going to get there. And we need to finish doing what we need to do to operate this rover. Well, they did that, and they'll start doing, in fact, they're doing it as we speak right now. So anyway, thanks to all who contributed. I would argue that if you looked up perseverance in the dictionary, you should see the faces of all of these people that are on the screen here and all of the people on this panel. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to my partner in crime and the person I called the conscience of the project, essentially from the get-go, Matt Wallace.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you for your leadership. It's been a pleasure working with you the last 8 years, I have to say. You know, you just got a chance to watch this team do one of the hardest things we do in our business, which is to land a spacecraft on the planet Mars. You know, we arrived at Mars moving at about 12,000 miles an hour, roughly. And just 7 short minutes, we had to slow down and gently put Perseverance down in Jezero Crater. And the system just performed flawlessly. You know, get through 10 or 12 Gs of deceleration, a supersonic parachute deployment. You know, 8 big main engines had to fire. Our terrain relative navigation hazard avoidance system had to perform the way it was designed. And, you know, it's never easy. These things are so complicated. We were running a couple million lines of flight software code. I think we had something on the order of 30,000 parameters to set and get them all right. You know, it's just a difficult thing to do, and it's a real, very gratifying and quite a relief to be through it, I have to say. And the good news is, I think the spacecraft is in great shape. We got through EDL very well. Al-Chan will give you a little more information about that. We did transition into our surface mode as we expected to, and so we're doing well. We do have a couple images. I'm going to pop these up, I think, on the screen. If you can bring up our HazCam imagery. These are engineering camera images that are taken out the front of the vehicle and the rear of the vehicle when we land. And that's Jezero Crater right there. And you can see the shadow of the vehicle, and you can look out into the horizon. And that is just a great thing to see for the team. So the next thing we're going to do here is something we've never tried before, in addition to landing at Jezero Crater. We have never tried to bring the team into our press conference here, and we want to try to do that. So are you guys ready out there? The comms team ready? You guys ready to try this? Okay, I think I'm getting some nods up and down. All right, here we go. We're going to try to switch over and introduce you to the Mars 2020 Perseverance team. Here you go. Congratulations, team.
Hey.
Ready up there? Team ready? You guys ready to try this? You guys ready?
Yeah. This is the team that built the computers, they built the structures, they built the radars, they integrated the prop tanks and the thrusters and all the engines. You know, they built actuators and robot arms and sampling systems. These guys just never rested. All of our terrific science instruments, our technology payloads, really a remarkable team. And they did it, you know, days, they did it nights, they did it weekends, they worked through holidays, they worked first shift, second shift, third shift. Just a remarkable, you know, a remarkable accomplishment, and we're so proud to be part of what they've done here. And they look good. They look good on TV, I think, you know. So I think hopefully you got to see some of the faces and some of the families, maybe a few signs, a couple pets along the way. But congratulations to the whole team, and thank you all for everything you've done. I'm going to turn it over to Al Chen. He is the lead of our swashbuckling EDL team, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about entry, descent, and landing.
Thanks, Matt. Wow, that was quite a ride. It never gets old landing on Mars. And I want to tell the whole project team thank you, and especially to the EDL family out there. I'm really proud of you. You guys did it. I can show you a little bit about what we know so far. Usually it takes us a couple days to figure out where we went, but with our side benefit of our terrain relative navigation system, we know pretty well where we went. If you bring up the first figure, you can see that we're off the center just a little bit to the southeast, about a kilometer, 1.7 kilometers or so to the southeast. It's a pretty good area, but terrain relative navigation was pretty important here. If you go to the next figure, and not just for telling us where we are, you can see that we landed in an area that's relatively rugged there. And I think Ken will be able to tell you about the science of what's there. But I was just worried about what would kill us on landing. So if you go to the next slide here, red is generally bad. And you can see that the system managed to find a nice blue spot in the midst of all that red, all that death that's out there for us. So we found a parking lot and hit it. So the terrain relative navigation system was absolutely essential in getting us down here and helping us figure out where we are right away. We are in a nice flat spot. The vehicle is only tilted by about 1.2 degrees. So we did successfully find that parking lot and have a safe rover on the ground. And I couldn't be more proud of my team for doing that. And that's really all I got to say. I think this is the end of my journey, I guess, with Perseverance, but the adventure, really, the mission is really just beginning. So let me toss it over to Jennifer to talk about the surface work that we have ahead of us.
Thanks, Al. Well, thank you, Al. I mean, you and your team did a fantastic job, and we're so grateful to be in this position. I almost feel like I'm in a dream. Our job is to think of all the bad things that can happen and try to avoid those. And when all good things happen, you feel like you're dreaming, and I'm happy to feel like I'm dreaming today. And happy to be here. I want to do the most important thing, which is introduce you to another portion of the team. Some of these folks were downstairs for landing, and some of them are up here just doing surface operations. And so the team wants to share their excitement with you about being on the surface of Mars, getting ready for an amazing science mission. So thank you, team. This team is awaiting the Odyssey overflight. Yeah, let's give them a hand. Thank you, folks. So this team is awaiting the Odyssey overflight, which will happen about 4:30 p.m. It's a very small data volume, so we won't get very much information. But then at 6:30 p.m., Trace Gas Orbiter will have an overflight and send down a fair amount of data. And that's, I think, what everybody's looking forward to, are these images that Mike talked about. So the images we might get if everything goes well, we will likely get the HazCams with the deployed covers. What you were looking at before was the HazCams without the covers deployed. We hope that we will get some thumbnail movies of some of the EDL camera images, so that front row seat and entry, descent, and landing. And then it's possible that we'll get an actual image from the descent download camera, the last 10 meters before we landed on the surface. So we're all on the edge of our seats looking forward to getting those images. Just a few other stats about the rover. We think we're facing southeast based on the shadows, about 140 degrees. The tilt, as Al said, it's flat. It's about 1.2 degrees. The power system looks good. The RTG, the generator, before we landed was at 105 watts, and we think it'll go a little higher. The batteries are charged at 95%, and everything looks great. So we are excited to get the next set of information from Perseverance. Now, the team will get some images tonight, but then over the next few days, we spend a little bit of time, I'll show you with the model here, kind of unwrapping the rover. It's been inside the descent stage, back shell. So the mast is not deployed, so we will deploy the remote sensing mast here, and then we'll also be pointing, you can see here, the high gain antenna at Earth, and that's how we will communicate. Right now, the rover's sending data through the orbiters on an antenna, a UHF antenna that's sitting here on the back of the rover. And we can command it, but only through an omnidirectional low gain antenna here, so we don't get very high data rates through that. So we're excited to be opening up the rover over the next few days. After that, we will transition the software. As John mentioned, we were finishing, many of these people have been working on this mission for years, and we were finishing the surface flight software as we were flying to Mars. It's on the vehicle, but we will spend a little bit of time transitioning to that software. Then we will finish the checkouts of all the instruments, and we'll drive to our heli flight demo location, wherever that might be. Now I spent a little time talking to the rover planners, the folks who decide where to traverse and what's safe and what's not. And there's a ripple field in front of us, between us and the Delta. So we might be doing some driving around the ripple field. We don't like sand ripples that much, but we're going to spend some time and figure out what the traverse places are and where the helicopter demo flight should be. So that's what we're working on. In summary, I would like to say, you know, as I step back, it's great to be able to share this success. I'm so happy for the team who has worked so hard. This is an incredible team, and they have just pushed through so many challenges. But we're also very excited to be able to share this success with everybody who is cheering for us, everybody who is watching. We really are excited for you to join us on this great mission on Mars that we're going to go through in the next several years, learning more about Mars. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ken Farley. He'll talk more about the science mission on Mars.
Hi, thanks, Jennifer. I would follow on what Steve Jerzyk said. I would say, wow, we have a science mission. It has been a long road to get here. And one of the things I would point out, it may be not obvious from the outside, but a mission like this is a lot like a decade-long relay race. There was the whole first stage where the whole spacecraft was designed and built, and literally, as the pandemic was closing in, was raced off to the Cape to make the launch. The second leg was to get through space and arrive successfully, as we have just done. And the third leg is the one that we are about to embark on. That's the science mission. And one of the amazing things about this is there are thousands of people all along the way, and at each step, those people peel off and move on to new jobs. And so on behalf of the science team, I want to thank my friends to the right here and all of the folks that got us to where we are. This is a spectacular place to be. So thank you all so much for that, and we are going to do you proud in the science mission. I want to start off just saying a few words about where we are and what we know so far. This is obviously not based on very much information, and my phone is buzzing all the time with people telling me things, so we're already starting to process the information that we have. But in this first image, you can see that we landed to the southeast of the Delta. We are about 2 kilometers to the southeast of the Delta. And we are actually right on the boundary between 2 different geologic units. There's the kind of smooth area that we landed on. We call that the mafic floor unit. And then there's the rough area. This is actually where the dunes are. And that's the olivine-bearing unit. And this is a great place to be because one of the things that scientists love to do is look to see how 2 different geologic units come together. It tells you a lot about the geologic history. So we're really excited to get going on this. And if I could have the next image. So these images, I hope everybody understands, these are actually taken in only one of the color bands. This is just in the red color band. And they are actually taken through the protective lens cap that is on the camera. So these are just amazing things that we got back in the first few seconds after we landed. But we can already see some important things. There are rocks in this field of view. We don't know exactly how big they are, but they might be about 10 centimeters would be a reasonable guess. So those are going to be very interesting. They will undoubtedly be some of the first objects that we explore once the kind of shakedown phase of the early rover operations completes. And also in the background, we believe that we can see the Delta. There are features in the back that look like the cliffs of the Delta. And so when we get those additional images back that Jennifer was mentioning, we should know a lot more about that. And then we can also see some sand dunes in there. And actually, in something of a relief, our imaging scientist told me when I went and talked to him about this image, I asked him what he saw, and he said, looks like Mars. So I'm glad we have successfully landed on Mars. So science team is really excited to get going here. We have years of scientific investigation ahead of us. And I will turn it back to Jezero for questions.
Okay, thank you, Ken. We're about to start Q&A, so if you're a reporter on our phone lines, remember that you can press *1 and get into the queue. And if you're on social media and you want to ask questions, use the hashtag #CountdownToMars. So our first reporter question comes from Steve Futterman of CBS News. Go ahead, Steve.
And congratulations to everyone involved in this. I'd like to focus my question to Matt Wallace and Al Chen. Obviously, we see you through the lenses of the cameras as this is happening. Could you take a step back and maybe describe for us what was going through your mind, your hearts? What were the emotions as the 7 minutes of terror were taking place and the reaction when you knew that Perseverance had safely touched down on Mars?
It's hard to really describe, to be honest with you. You think you're prepared for it. It's part of our business in some ways. We're exploring, we're going places we haven't been. We know there's risk, we know there's uncertainty. I was telling somebody the other day, I don't think a single workday went by for the last 8 or 9 years where I didn't think about entry, descent, and landing. You always worry, did you make the right decision? Did you test the right things? Did you put the right people in charge? We clearly did on Perseverance, but it just, it consumes you. It becomes part of you, and in some ways, it's hard still to believe that we finished it and that we're done. It still feels a little surreal because it just becomes embedded in the way you think. You have to be constantly terrified of it. You have to respect it. At the same time, you have to somehow believe that you can do it, or else you'd never try to put a car on the surface of Mars, right? It's crazy. And so it's part of what we do, I guess. And at some point, it becomes part of how you think. But there really is no good way to describe that moment when it's over and you hear those words, touchdown confirmed. It's just a remarkable feeling of pride in the team, relief, and really